Hey folks, this is Shiny. Ask me anything.
The video you're about to see is a conversation between two people, one civilian and a member of the TTPS. The two have never met.
Hello? When I talk song, a little kind of Trinidad man. Where you from?
I was born in Canupia, right? How would I describe myself? I'm a nomad. I've lived all over Trinidad and Tobago.
As I say, Trinity the bone.
Trinity
No matter
the
where
bone.
we go, man.
So what's up?
Not much, not much. Do you tell me what's the latest?
A few challenges we have. Well, going into the, we have the pandemic going on as well.
Very there.
So trying to come to terms how to deal with it, how to go about our so-called normal life. Things will never be normal after this.
Definitely, I agree with you there.
A lot of people still in between vaccinations, they're not sure. What's your take though? How you think, what you think about the entire pandemic and the vaccination, if I may ask?
Nah, man, again, we're here talking. Before I even go more into that, the name is Alvin.
Alvin?
Yeah.
Name is Ryan as well.
Yeah, they call me Superman sometime, so.
Superman?
Yeah. That's because of the job I just do now, so. I think sometimes we just call me, just get a little
job
nicknames.
title?
Well, I'm a police officer.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely.
So, talking about our pandemic, it literally, for me, it would hit home more or less. Because, you consider us like more or less a frontline workers.
Well, you are a frontline worker.
That's it. So, talking about that, for me, is like, yeah, you're experiencing it basically every single day. I would just go for us dealing with the public. As the job details, that's what we're there for, protect and serve more or less. So it's kind of sad, and again, this is my personal take to see how much lives being lost during this time, but my take is history would show that this has happened before, and chances are it may happen again. It's actually the first time Trinidad more or less affected by it in such a major way.
Yeah, in a meaningful way.
That's it. And most times, as we say, God is our trainee, and you never fall victim to certain things. So this time it's like, wow. And
it's a reality check almost, eh?
Definitely. And as it relates to the vaccine, for me it comes right back down to a choice, and I guess it's more or less doing the right things for the country at hand.
Personal choice at that, right?
A personal choice. These days I see people putting up things on social media where they're saying they feel like you're being forced to take the vaccine.
Listen, this social media misleading too,
I ain't disagree with you there at all, no? We very misleading. See, that's why I say sometimes we do a little research.
Yeah, but I think that's just not in Trinidad and Tobago. That's happening all over the world too. But in terms of what you do for a living, how you protecting yourself, how you marrying your job, and this pandemic that we have, because as I said earlier, you're a frontline worker, so it puts you at high risk.
Definitely. Actually, I actually got the COVID already once from being out on the front lines. So basically, it's just what you said in terms of marrying it, but it is, you can only try your best to follow the guidelines given, with the hopes that you don't fall victim to it. And falling victim to it personally is like one thing. It's carrying it home to your family, friends, as the case would be. Because sometimes you don't really see the signs until it's too late.
Well, I call this the invisible monster, This is the invisible monster that we will never see,
True that, because
well, this is one person you cannot arrest. This is one person you cannot arrest.
I disagree with you at all.
Yeah, boy, and it's to many is an uncomfortable thing, but the conversation has to be made comforting, because we need to have this type of conversation as well,
Well, I agree with you. sometimes I try to run away from it, but this is something that we can't run away from as a people, as a country. So hopefully with time, Chinese will come together and can make things work and be out of this in hopefully at 2 years at least.
Now, as a police officer again, right? And you being on the front line and you have to uphold the law and uphold justice. That is, of course, without saying you have to deal with people. How you personally going about that? How you feel about it? You have your days where you're comfortable. You have your days when you're uncomfortable. How you personally feel? Because I know for me, right? And again, this is it uncomfortable for me. You know, because there's not much information. Again, is an invisible monster. You know, you have to be so careful, but you being on the front line now, where this is your job, what and how you feeling? How you feel about it?
Well, as you say, being out there and knowing the culture that is Trinidad,
Yeah.
it's be a bit challenging. Because sometimes you'll actually have to tell the people the same things over and over and over. And sometimes I just tell them, you just have to wait until it hit home, then for you to actually understand the importance of the guidelines that are put in place. Some as simple as putting on the mask.
Properly, right?
The amount of times we start to be talking to sometimes persons way older than me. And I'm like, you guys just don't get it. It's for your safety, by extension, your family. And it usually be a little back and forth. There are persons who would do it, and then persons who won't. And then when they actually enforce the laws that are put in place for their own safety, sometimes they want to come down at you and say the police too wicked. They're only getting a ticket because they want to make money. But
how you feel about that slang or that slogan? All are wicked. How you feel about that?
Personally, I'm not bothered in any way. It doesn't stop me from doing my job as long as I'm doing the things according to law and in the right. That statement doesn't bother me. Practically, most of my colleagues, you wouldn't pay any mind to it. So, we take no offense.
What's your rank, if you don't mind me asking?
Constable at present, hopes of climbing up to inspector at least.
How you just go about that?
Well, we have a promotion process, we have exams. So sometimes you start off as a constable, you work your way up to the corporal, to your exams, to your promotions, again to the sergeant, and from there you go up to the inspector, where you reach up to the FDO levels and you take it up. But it's
so that's a big jump you looking to make there then?
Definitely. For
the
things I would love to accomplish, I see the need for the rank.
Are you coming from a family or a unit where your parents or your uncles or probably family members were the police force? Or is it something that you came up with as a person? That you saw the need that I want to become a police officer to do better for my country?
So first, it's not really the Trinidad and Tobago Police Force, it's more the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. The force itself is usually attached to the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force.
Understood.
Yes, sometimes we tend to mix it up. As it relates to the choice to become an officer, actually it was my choice actually. It stemmed from the fact that initially the job that I had before that, going to the banks and other different little things and looking at life in a holistic view, I saw the need for a better job, a bit more stable, and with that, I tried a couple of services actually, and I usually tell myself or tell the people who I talk to, the service actually chose me. That's how I look at it. So even though I did it with the intention that I needed a better job, I tried for army, fire, prisons, but police services where I got that call. And
that's interesting.
Yeah, and like because of that, no doubt till this day I always say I love my job. Even though that's where I started off wanting that job, the job did so much for me. So I actually have a lot to give back. So I really love the job. And yeah, initially I have an aunt. We grew up in church, so she was a little so about the idea. But I made the choice, and so far everybody's kind of happy and proud and full support all the way.
How long in the service, if I may ask?
Started off in 2011 till now, so we're looking at approximately 10 years.
Okay, that's interesting, that's interesting.
Yeah, definitely best choice made, definitely the most exciting, definitely one of the most unique jobs you'll meet, basically. So, I even pause because we talk so much and sharing about me.
Yeah.
And do forgive me for not asking, basically, what do you do?
I have a lot of hats. I work in the music industry.
All right, nice.
I have done everything under the sun where music is concerned. I currently work on a national frequency, right?
Okay. And you're saying music, what type of music, as in anything or something particular?
No, any and everything,
Not bad at all,
some may say entertainer. I share the sentiments that, as you said, it was not my first choice, but it's something that I grew to love, and I realized that this is not just entertainment, but it have a different side of it, a giving side, you know, a side where it can help people as well.
I totally agree with
So
you.
it's almost like a service, same way, you know.
Agreed.
Grew up in crime-riddled communities. Single parent. I mean, I had both parents, but grew up in a home predominantly.
No,
I wouldn't say.
I catch where you're coming from, and it's actually somebody same here, because both parents, yes, but
Yeah.
I grew up with my grandmother and cousins.
Mm-hmm.
So even though both of our parents were around, Granny more or less took the forefront for everything. So kind of get it just where you're coming from. When I even grew up in an area, it's not so perfect, but at the same time, you know, the crime itself wasn't too high. But again, I just saw where you're coming from there.
Yeah, and I actually like you was searching, you know, and I like when you said the service chose you. I am going to say the same thing with music. Music chose me. Alright? I don't know anything else but music and promotions and marketing and stuff like that. You know?
And I'm listening to you talking, and I'm hearing the passion. So for me, that's a big thing. So
No, brother, I come from what we would call hotspots. So the community that I hail from. Now, I went to my mom made sure that I went to a good school, and I was well distracted, if so to speak, right? However, the community, it left a lot of, I always say there's a lot of hidden scars that nobody will ever see or hear, right? Because for this small Trinidad and Tobago, there's some things that happen on the ground that, as a civilian, as a normal citizen, bro, I could never understand. I could never understand what is taking place, you know, like, how is these things happening? Where is the authority? And I have children now, and I teach my children that do not have problems with people in authority. You know, they have some people who don't know how to identify people in authority. I always tell, because boy children I have too, right? My eldest are boys. So I tell them, yo, police officers are people in authority regardless of their attitude, regardless of how they speak, or they're rough or they're not rough. They have a uniform of authority.
Well, I agree with you there, because that's how we were brought up. Because where I grew up, everybody know me and they know what Granny was like. And she ensured that as it relates to authority, even at home, she never played with that at no point in time. Based on where I work, which is the Intelligence Task Force, and we deal mostly with high crime areas. And we go through a lot of that basically sometimes every day. And how we were trained to deal with the situations is sometimes when those little moments pop up, you try to diffuse it as quickly and as fast as possible. Most times you try your best not to allow your ego and your little personal feeling at that point in time to get the better of you. So
you're still a human, eh?
And
so,
that's it.
Yeah, so you have to balance. It's a balancing act you have going on.
Yep, and again, too, sometimes you don't know what really going on with the individual as to why they behaving like that. So you always try to take the lighter approach to the situation once it's not escalating to the point where you actually had to, as we just say, take a person's hand as the case would be. So you try to talk to the person, you try to feel out the person, and sometimes with that you get to understand where the real issue comes from as it relates to their dislike for authority. Sometimes it's not even, the issue is not even with you, no? Sometimes it can
Sometimes it's not police officers, right? They're just authority on the whole.
That's it. Sometimes some from home, at some
school.
That is the whole thing. So everything you say that relates to dealing with authority, and again, us being in that position every single day, it's a give and take. It's really a give and take most times. And then even giving you that response there, and I think back to myself based on what you just said about the different elements, and you know, it's been a bit challenging to deal with some of these hidden elements within this country. And mind you, there are a lot, and as time goes by, you realize that they're advancing. So it becomes
quickly.
That's the interest. You see that key where they say there, quickly. And by us, we take a kind of a proactive approach to dealing with it. But one of the key issues for me personally, and again, a bit personal here, is you can't really do much without the assistance of the community. So it's like how you were saying in your community there, things like this happening. It's for us where we work with these high crime areas where your best attack and defense is with the assistance of the people in the area itself. So that's the approach we try to take. That's the approach I even try to take even outside on our normal everyday patrol. You get to know the people in the area, the hopes is you build trust, and then eventually over time, they themselves will try to help you, because again, you could only do so much without intelligence in these neighborhoods. My theory is you're fighting a community. It's not
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's my whole take on it. You're going up against a community. So it's not just a few people who causing a problem. And
the community harboring, so to speak.
That's the whole thing. So my take with dealing with the underground elements is I try to work with the people in the community from as simple as a child to the oldest person. And for me, it actually works. Yes, that's how you get your intelligence. That's how you gather information relative to where some of these guys might be staying, where they might be hiding, what they just be doing in terms of the type of crimes that is being committed in the area. Because, again, we say high crime, and it doesn't necessarily just mean shooting. So we have some as simple as robbery. Even recently, we get hit with some scams. And the only way we were able to actually deal with it was through the relationship we shared with the community itself. And I listen to you then, I'm thinking as an entertainer now, you have a bit of a play, a bit of influence. So I'm thinking now, seeing as you have kids, what would you say you would do in terms of trying to assist the police and all to in that same kind of element where you want to try and get rid of these same hidden elements in the community?
Well, you know, I'll be frank, right? I'll be real frank, and I'll be upfront, and I'll be honest. A lot of my friends, right, and I am very, very cautious about that word friends, right? But I cannot choose who I grow up with. I cannot choose the road that they went on. You understand? So, I'm coming from a place where, just like how I want them to respect me, I have to respect them as well. So
totally agree with you.
It starts with me, right? Here how it starts with me. It starts with me by letting brothers know, here what's going on. It have a line in the sand with me and all here. We are friends. We're from the same community. We play football together. Our parents know each other. We have history, right? But there's a line I draw. You see what all you're on? I not on that. I on this. So I am not telling them well, boy, I'm not associating myself. What I am saying now, the conversation is go a little bit deeper with me, right? It simply starts by me saying, you know, there's a next way out. They have on that part you on, it's a left and right, you know. It's not straight ahead alone, you know. And from most of the answers I get be like, China, boy, we see you do it, boy. And here what going on, boy, we real proud of you, you know. But I don't see myself doing it. And I ask them, what do you mean doing what? Getting up and have a conscious mind of here what going on. This is not me. This is not what I want, you know. I want better. And plenty of my brothers they say, China, we deal with you, you know, but we don't know. We just don't know. We just don't know. And then now, I am fortunate enough to see the both sides. From since going to school, I went to Queen's Royal College, right? So coming out of the hotspot of the ghetto, from going to school, I was seeing a different ambience, a different environment. I was meeting different people. Then when I go back home, these brothers is telling me, I have never went to Tobago. Or I have never went out of my community, China. I cannot go. Like, if I go out of my community, I could get shoot. I'd be like, what?
And watch me. Everything you said there is the honest truth. Because I go back to one of the things I mentioned as it relates to working with the community. A lot of these guys that most people would say is gangsters and bad man and all these different things.
Some of them fellas is be the most genuine.
That, you see, it's hard to get to know them. That's the whole thing. You actually had to start to talk with a lot of them. Of course, there's always going to be that, as you say, that line in the sand there. They know who you are and you know who they are. And when that time reached, the necessary has to be done. You respect one another. And again, keyword respect, that's one of the ways you get inroads into these communities. Yeah. They have to respect you for you as an officer and indirectly as a person. Else you're going to reach nowhere. And I listen to some of their stories, and everything you say there is the truth. Some of them say they never went far down in south. Some of them say they're afraid to go.
They never left the community.
A lot of them say certain places they never went, and as you say, it's because of the present gang war and violence, they can't leave. So I agree with you there. And it's good to see that you were able to actually experience things from the two sides of the playing field. Even though you weren't directly involved, you were still around the environment. So you have an idea what it's like being on the outside looking in and from the inside looking out.
One thing that stands out in my mind, again, being fortunate enough to see the both sides of the coin, right? Definitely, there's an issue with authority, right? And then it is compounded by when the officers come into the communities that are hotspots or ghettos, right? Now, again, this is my personal observation. The behavior is a bit more abrasive and hostile in the hotspots to where I am now in life. And because I've worked so hard, obviously we're working hard to come out of these areas, right? No one works hard to stay in these areas. I don't care what anybody say, you know?
That's true.
I see the difference, and that in itself, because I am the two sides of the coin, it is kind of rubbed me the wrong way, because now I coming from a place where in the hotspot, if the police is to pull up and we linemen in the road, it is immediate guns drawn, immediate, yo, all like you on the ground, thing. And if uptown, if so to speak, or in the lesser hotspots areas, is a more of a relaxed situation. You know, and I could never understand the behavior, because to me, your job is to deduce a threat from a non-threat, you know? So to me, it shouldn't matter the community. Yeah, we understand in certain communities it's high risk and we understand that, but the training and the ability to adapt to a situation, that used to escape me, you know? I find it kind of unreasonable, if so to speak.
Being an officer who works in one of these areas, sometimes some situations would be a little bit difficult to approach, where you want to say from the time you reach, you had to be kind of, hi fellas, how you going? Sometimes it doesn't always work out like that. Sometimes by the time you're approaching a group, the demeanor of the group changes. So automatically, you had to adapt to suit. And then again, we are trained a particular way. As we want to say, you want to deduce the threat. So sometimes the person in the group wouldn't see it, but for us, looking at the individual, sometimes you mightn't see a person's hand. You might notice a bulge in the waist. So sometimes for us, you approach the situation with safety for both parties in mind. So you tell them, fellas, here what, before we could go any way further, let me just make a quick search, make sure everything okay. And sometimes even explaining that, they doesn't want to listen. I believe that's something that has been happening for years, and it's going to take some time for that to change. Even before I myself joined in the service itself, I believe this was going on ever since. However, the service itself is growing, it's learning, and that eventually will change. Again,
so it goes back to what you're saying about going into the community with respect and
that,
knowing the players in the communities.
That is it. You can't make that leeway into the community.
Right.
Because again, sometimes you could still be stern and still be respectful. You could still come up to a boy and get them to comply with the instructions given. And they don't have to feel as if it is you're just coming down on them, because that particular topic, there has so many different avenues you could approach it at. Because sometimes you come in there and make just, oh gosh, you're a black man like we too, and it is go down so many different roads, and they don't sometimes even see what the real issues is. Fellas, being a high crime area, it's not that we coming after all that because, we're just looking for trouble.
You're doing the job.
We're doing the job, and it has to be done by certain protocols. So it might seem a bit aggressive with guns drawn, but it's just to ensure our safety as well as yours before we could proceed any further. And sometimes I stop fellas and do the exact same thing you just explained, but because they know me and how I approach them, they wouldn't make a fuss. And sometimes even if the younger ones want to jump up themselves and talk and act a particular way, they would say, hey, nah, tone it down. This particular team, they're not like that. They're just doing the work. Let them do the job. And it is what it is. Again, you can't really police all situations the same, but you're right when you say sometimes the police officers just had to learn to adapt to the environment. So it doesn't always work like that all the time. Sometimes it do, and in cases where it do, and honestly, I gotta apologize. It's not genuinely where police come out to cause problems. We're dealing with persons who have went through so many different experiences over time, and again, I could just apologize, but the service is getting there.
Is another part of the conversation that I have is that, you look the part, you will be dealt to suit now. How do you deduce a threat from a non-threat? Like your training has, how do you do that? How does that even make sense in your mind? Because somebody could be looking the part and really and truly they're nothing. But they're just looking at acting the role now.
I totally agree with you there, because I had an instance where, I stop a vehicle and the guy seemed so normal, he talked so good, and we do the normal checks, make sure everything was okay, nothing found in the car, and then you ran the guy information through our database, and the list of offenses pop up for this guy, and I'm like, wow. I'm looking at you like, I wouldn't for a minute think that.
So he's seasoned.
And he's just so normal.
Been through it.
And that's it. And
rodeo.
Then you would stop another person who has been to say, look the part. And again, this goes back to society and so many of its norms. And they would not have a single offense to their name. And I usually, when I stop persons like that, I say, Pastor, my boy, keep it up, well done. Because you're trying to encourage one another to always remain on that straight and narrow. So, yeah, to really deduce sometimes, your best approach is to be neutral. Really and truly, you have to remain as neutral as possible because of the culture, crime no longer has, as we just quote unquote put, a look. Because they say it perfectly right. They could just look the part and they're nothing at all. And then you'd meet sometimes the man in the shirt and jacket, suit and tie concept, and that's really the real criminal there. And again, crime itself is not just a gun to a man's head or rob somebody kind of thing. Crime could be on so many different levels, corruptions on so many different things. So that's my neutral approach. I approach every situation where I don't know you don't know me, but the idea here is how you approach me. It will dictate how I take it up or take it down. So if it is I walk up to you and I say, hi, good day, sir, and immediately you start to act out a particular when I realize we can't go down that road. We have no choice. I will take it up to suit. Usually threat assessment or individual assessments as the case go by as it relates to how we approach. Because again, you could still act that part, still be all aggressive, and when we're done, you'll not be a criminal or an offender as the case would be. And I've met plenty of persons who, not offenders, good jobs, good everything, and behaving far worse than some of these persons who they decide to say is criminals and bad boys.
Authority. They cannot identify authority. They have a problem. I think that is the basis here, you know.
I believe that the culture with us, there's a norm, and this is my take here, where you do the wrong thing so much times that it becomes the right. And sometimes when officers now trying to enforce the right things, people tend to have a problem. And I believe that's one of Trinidad's biggest issues. When I say it as in TNT itself, that's one of our biggest issues. Enforcing the simplest laws because the persons were able to get away with it for so long over time, immediately the all you're too wicked come again.
That all you're too wicked, that phrase, wherever that is, they need to get rid of that, you know.
Actually, I don't want to sound bad, but for some strange reason, it actually started off with me. So that's why I say, hearing it, I don't take offense because I understand why they would use it. Sometimes it's just to stir up a situation. Sometimes it really does just take a situation from 0 to 60. For me, the crowd normal, but all of a sudden, say, all you're too wicked, and well, boy, it starts. All you're too wicked.
The all you're too wicked rant,
yeah. And the whole Superman nickname. Because what happened was, we responded to a report in a particular part of one of these zones that we work in. And on arrival there, the usual thing, once police there, the crowd has come out. And with that now, a particular guy decided that, he wanted to overstep. And then overstepping now, as soon as my team reached, we had no choice but to step in. And with that, back in the days, we still do plenty weightlifting and things. So I ended up lifting him up and walking away with him. And with that, then I had a particular female in the crowd.
All you're too wicked.
She just started.
All you're wicked.
You're all you're wicked. You're all you're too wicked.
Yeah.
Yeah, from there, it just went viral thereafter. So, to this day, most people would hear it, but they wouldn't really understand where it came from. And the roots of the whole "you're too wicked" comment itself. But you see, sometimes, as I say, even though she said that, and that event came to an end, me and that particular individual were actually still able to build a little bond, as in, I could see him anyway, stop him and talk to him, and there's always a love, there's always a respect, so much so that if it is I'm on duty and I could hear something happen around that area, automatically I would go up and check and make sure that it's not him. Because, again, to work in these communities, you have to build a bond with the people. You can't always take
it's a language, it's a language.
Approach. That has a purpose when that time reaches, but other than that, good morning, good evening, how you going? If somebody said they need a little food, they need a little passage, if somebody want a little drop, that's the direction we try to take things in our area. Despite how much trouble we'll have from time to time with the little shootings and the little incidents, we don't ever basically just judge the whole area itself by the actions of a few. So now that you get a little gist, maybe one of the ideas you might be able to come up with to assist us with this constant increase in terms of gun violence and crimes and all these different things.
Off the bat, I could say, you see something, you say something, that has to be an initiative. That has to be an initiative. That see something, say something, my brother, is very powerful.
So, see something, say something has its role and its functions, yes. But beyond see something, say something, the service has to build that trust, a greater trust with the people. Have to. That would be the long and short of it. That would be the key to see something, say
Yeah,
something.
because I could go into it, I could go in and I could say all kind of thing, but if I had to wrap it up, see something, say something, definitely powerful. What I can say is that we both have a service to our country. You being the upholder of justice and law to protect and serve with pride, and I would say as well, I am to protect and serve with pride as well, but without a badge.
And I totally agree with you as it relates to giving back to the community there itself.
Yeah, bro.
So
Nice to meet you, same way.
likewise, man. Likewise. Good to see you have like-minded people around, you know?
Yeah, man.
Superman, Shiny, nice to meet you.
Likewise, man.